Well, welcome to the first installment of our kind of midweek devotional. And so the heart of this is I wanted to see us continue to dive into our series in Hebrews, but also for the rest of the staff to give their opportunity to kind of give some additional insight or just feedback or application or thoughts and impressions about what we're doing. And so this week I wanted to kick us off. As you know, we have started our Hebrews series, Greater. And last week I was in chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. And as I've been reflecting on it, the way that it starts and why it's so important for us to see the way that Hebrews 1 starts is it wants us to see the magnificence of who Jesus is. For the purpose of us focusing on who he is and what he's done, so that we're enthralled, we're overwhelmed, because what we focus on the most is what will kind of inform the way that our head and heart are aligned. And so let me tell you what I mean by that. So I've got a friend of mine, and he's really big into public radio. And he tells a story that a handful of years ago, he was just ingesting a public radio like all the time. And he realized that a lot of the shows and the things that he was listening to were just contrarian in nature all the time. Means people were fighting, disagreeing. It was just almost getting belligerent at times in the things that he would listen to. And so he would listen to it at home. He would stream it on his computer. He'd listen to it in his car. He was just taking in a steady stream of public radio. And he realized like what he was focusing on was starting to frustrate him. He was starting to get more agitated, short-tempered, just frustrated across the board, snapping at the kids, impatient with his wife. And he kind of tested himself, and he realized, I need to stop focusing. I like it, but I need to stop focusing on public radio, because what's going in is informing how I'm responding to so many things. So he took a 2-week kind of fast on public radio. And he came back and he realized like the way his heart was and the way he was responding to folks had categorically changed. And as the writer of Hebrews starts, he wants us, it's even entitled in a lot of your Bibles, The Nature of the Son. That in verse 2 it says, in these last days he spoke to us by his Son. God has appointed him heir of all things and made the universe through him. Here it is. Verse 3, the Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact expression of his nature, sustaining all things by his powerful word. He is setting this exalted view of Jesus so that we have a bearing point to focus on. And man, we need that more than ever right now, because it's easy for us to take in a steady stream and diet of discouragement. And what we focus on the most is what informs our mentality, what really affects our emotions. And so this is what I want to leave you with, a real practical step that where we can apply what it means for us to focus on Jesus. And I'm going to take us over here to Philippians chapter 4, because this is probably one of my most significant chapters in the Bible, as it has challenged and transformed me and my approach to my thought life. And so it's in chapter 4. And Paul's writing here in verse 8. He says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any moral excellence and if there's anything praiseworthy, here it is, dwell on these things. So coming from Hebrews, as we're dwelling, as we're looking at the radiance and the excellence of Jesus, what we then subsequently are able to do is reflect on the ways in which he has been good to us. The ways that we've seen him move in our lives, the way that we have seen him bolster our faith, the ways in which he has met us in areas and seasons and situations and circumstances in our lives that we never thought that God would bust into, but he has in the middle of it. And to dwell on those things, whatever's good and just and praiseworthy, dwell on it. Don't just think about it for a second. Really sit back and ponder it. Like get into the hot tub of remembrance to understand and sit and soak in Jesus' goodness because of his magnificence. And I just wanted to say that because I think we all need to hear that right now. I mean, if you're watching this in California, air quality and fires and businesses not open and all these other things, and we can continue to go down Alice's hole to Wonderland, but there's no Wonderland at the end of it. There's just discouragement and frustration. Or we can turn our gaze skyward to the radiance and the excellence of Jesus, and therefore let that be the catalyst for us to meditate, to dwell on these good and pure and lovely things. So what do you have to be thankful for? Dwell on that.